Earlier this week, General William Shelton, head of the Air Force's Space Command, warned that China currently possesses weapon systems that can, quote, destroy our space systems, including communication satellites. He's calling for a shift to smaller satellites as a response. So how serious is this threat? Joining me tonight is Bill Gertz, senior editor of the Washington Free Beacon and the national security columnist for the Washington Times. Thank you for joining us, Bill.
Hi, Tara. Good to be on the program.
Bill, you and I have worked on this issue of China and Chinese military capabilities for many years when I was with the congressman's office up on Capitol Hill. And it looks to me like ITAR, which is the International Traffic on Arms Regulations, hasn't worked. China still has the capabilities that we were worrying about, which is supposed to stop this. And now it looks like it hasn't made a difference. Do we have something actually to worry about here?
Absolutely. This is a very important story, and it has to do with one of the most strategic assets of the United States, that is our satellites, which play both military and civilian roles for commerce as well as commanding forces around the world. And General Shelton issued somewhat of an alarming call saying that China has the capability to attack these satellites, and currently our satellites are configured so that we have many different sensors for missile warning, command and control, all on single large satellites. Cost about $1 billion apiece. He said the military is now studying a more defensive posture, which would involve having lots more smaller satellites, which would be less expensive and more survivable. But that still doesn't deal with the problem of China's ASAT capability, or anti-satellite capability.
Right.
They have missiles that can shoot these satellites down.
And didn't General Shelton also make the point that our strategy can not only be defensive, that we need to also have an offensive strategy because, unfortunately, like you just said, China is developing these anti-satellite missiles and those capabilities even from ground sensors and everything else. But we need to be on the offensive. It's a difference between the old Cold War nuclear strategy and now what we have to face in the space environment, the theater of space and cyber.
Yeah, he did not go that far. In fact, the Obama administration is dead set against having offensive anti-satellite weapons. We demonstrated back in 2008, I think, that we could use one of our missile defense interceptors to shoot down a falling satellite. So we have the capability, but the administration is opposed to that. So as a result, they are kind of playing defense where the Chinese are playing offense.
Well, this is something that I think the average person probably says, oh, well, why does this matter to us? This sounds like big military stuff, maybe, far-fetched science fiction. But this actually does have a real-world consequence. The types of satellites and the capabilities that the Chinese are currently working on destroying with America, GPS, and these GPS satellites, the military's ability to, with communication satellites and imaging, aren't these things that are consistent with China's asymmetrical warfare?
Yes. Yeah, this is a real threat from China. It's not just their anti-satellite capabilities, it's their cyber warfare capabilities, it's their new nuclear programs. They are engaged in a massive nuclear buildup that's being all but ignored in the West. They're building all different types of long-range missiles, short-range missiles, nuclear submarines, and a much greater strategic attack capability. And this is occurring at a time when our nuclear arsenal is in dire need of upgrading. There's been a big fight in Congress over that. There's a clear recognition by the Pentagon and the Energy Department that we have to upgrade our nuclear weapons. Otherwise, we won't be able to maintain this balance of deterrence that we've had that just kept the peace for 40 or 50 years.
Right. Really quickly, there's a international treaty on controlling space and navigating space that's out there. It was advocated by Secretary of State Hillary Clinton that it seems to have our military guys concerned, particularly General Shelton, because they're worried about this may potentially tie our hands if we need to do something from an offensive tack against China, correct?
Yeah, this is an important element of his remarks. He was asked at a speech in George Washington University here in Washington about this code of conduct for space, which the administration is pushing, but is really being pushed by China and Russia as a sub rosa way to try to constrain U.S. space activities.
Surprise, surprise.
The military joint staff has said no way.
Well, we need to keep an eye on this, and it looks as though Russia and China, not our friends, are the ones behind this. We got to stay on it. Bill, we always appreciate your time.
Thank you.